Ooh, what's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, is Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man. Well, he's a little sick, but he's going to make it through. JC.
I'm back, and believe it or not, last week I was missing this program for Celtics games, which I then missed these Celtics games because I have been going through it a bit here for a little over a week. But I've rallied today. It wasn't the best day, but I've rallied because I want to be here with you guys and talk about one of the greatest moments in wrestling history. So let's get into it, Adam.
Wow, who the fuck is Adam? And you're saying it's the greatest moment in wrestling history?
I said one of the greatest moments in wrestling history.
All right, well, let's pump the brakes there on that. But okay, we'll get into it. So basically, do you want to go, tit for tat? What do you want to do here? Do you want to go in order of Elimination Chamber? Do we want to go right off the rip? Like, what do you want to do? You can choose.
Let's start with the main event right away.
Okay.
We'll go to the main event. We'll start there and we'll work our way backwards because obviously John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber. I thought it was overall a fun match. Everything that needed to happen happened. It appears that we have Seth taking out Punk there at the end, which really lit the candle on whatever's going to happen there. We have Drew McIntyre, despite being rumored to be the man who might be in Cena's position, was eliminated first. So I thought that was hilarious because guess what, dirt sheets, you always lose. But it appears like him and Priest are on their collision course. And then Logan Paul, we got a better idea maybe Monday where he's going. But yeah, I thought it was a really fun match and the right man won.
I really loved portions of this matchup. I thought just kind of what transpired when it came to even Logan Paul stuff was great. Him with the marker again made me laugh. Just all these little things that are happening inside and out was just so much fun. I will say this much. When it came down to the final three, I felt so much better. Not that the other three weren't necessarily people that were absolutely going to win, but I think when we got to the final three, I was like, okay, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to see. And, the fact that here's the thing that I really liked throughout the entire thread of the match. And I don't know if you picked up on this, JC, but I thought it was great storytelling, was that Cena didn't eliminate anybody. And I love that. Like Punk passed out, but before that, none of the eliminated. Punk had like two, I think.
Yeah, Priest got Drew. Logan got Priest after Drew attacked him. Punk got Paul. Cena and Punk kind of combined to eliminate Rollins, but Punk must have got the pin, and then Cena got after the stomp and choked him out. So.
And then, of course, the die thing was just great while he was doing it. There's a crazy ass theory out there that we can get into about Seth Rollins, which is whatever, but like, let's talk about the rest of it. The main thing here is Cena wins. Everybody's excited. Cody comes out, woes all over. And of course, Travis Scott comes out for fucking whatever God did. We can get into that at some point. And then The Rock comes out doing his thing, and then they have their whole shebang. I'm curious, like, take me through, because you were watching it. I didn't get to watch it live. What were your like initial thoughts when you did you think something weird was going to happen? Like, what were you anticipating?
So from the beginning with this, in the back of my mind, I was always like, man, it would be so cool. Because I think it's one of those things that's like, if Cody and Cena are going to feud and they truly are going to turn someone, everyone probably like always thought Cody because they never do Cena. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I know it's his last run, but I'd love to see it. Did I ever think they would actually do it? Hell fucking no. And that's why as it started to happen, I was like, oh my God, they're doing it. Like, to me, what gave it away to me is when Cena started going over the top celebrating about what Cody did. I was like, they're going to fucking do this. They really are going to fucking do this. Because I'm like, it hit in my mind, kind of what I had always been thinking is like, they finally have a guy in Cody who has like, it's not like replaced, you never say like that, but like they finally have a guy in Cody that they could truly turn Cena heel and have him feud with. And no one would have an issue with it because Cody is that guy now. And I was blown away that they actually did it. I thought the way they did it was fucking superb. I thought everyone in this segment, maybe minus Travis Scott injuring Cody, did a great job. The Rock did his part. Cena, obviously, like the facial he got when they zoomed in, I was like, oh my God. And the nut shot was great. The beatdown by Cena was believable. Because my biggest issue with Cena in this, like the run the last couple of years is I see him and he doesn't look in the best shape. His hair looks stupid. He's got the bald spot. It's not believable. But as a heel, he looked great in this. I believe the aggression. I believe the thing with The Rock. And I was just like, man, this to me, like I say, moment of the year. You can lock it up right now for my knocker. I don't know how you fucking beat this moment because holy shit, even if Cena gets at the end of the year as a babyface the title, it's like, I don't know how you beat this moment. The only comparison, like I think you can really make to it is obviously the Hogan thing. I do think it's a different circumstances because the Hogan thing kind of shifted it for a very long time. Where the Cena thing, I expect will be in this run into WrestleMania. But I would expect the next time we see Cena, he kind of flips back and is kind of like solemn and apologetic and gets back on the babyface train the rest of the year. But in terms of a moment, and an unexpected moment, in a time in wrestling where we can't get those unexpected moments, I was truly blown away, and I absolutely adored every second of it. I've watched 1,000 times.
Just want to give a shout out to Marcus. What's up, Marcus? Thanks for joining us. We love having you.
How we doing, man?
Does good stuff. Of course, the Joe Stopper saying he needs to shave his head like The Rock now. I don't think that's going to happen.
Honestly, I think the bad hair now kind of works as a heel.
So I wanted to bring up something that you did kind of touch upon there really quickly, JC. So the Hogan thing, right? So this came through my mind when I watched it several times. Now, when you compare them overall, Hogan will have a bigger impact on the industry based on what he did.
100%.
However, and I'm not trying to downplay the NWO. I'm not trying to downplay Hogan because that was a seismic shift, money, profit, launched an entire, corporation into something like that was the saving grace of WCW. However, Hogan did that for Hogan. And that's the big difference here for me. Hogan kept basically his run was coming to an end. He flip-flopped and it gave him another 6 to 10 years in something he probably had no business being in, but he's Hulk Hogan. Cena might not be the seismic shift that the NWO will have here. We don't know. However, I think if you listen really closely to what The Rock said in the presser afterwards, he said, when I asked John his reasoning for doing this, it was heartfelt and it was an emotional moment for him to say it. And I'm guessing here, I don't know anything, but I think what it does tenfold here is it really just removes Cena from the conversation of being a babyface and really just solidifying Cody as like, okay, nobody can take away from him now. Like he's now the guy that everybody needs to get behind. And that's a selfless act, which Hogan would never do, as well as the fact that John can now have fun. Not saying he wouldn't have fun on his final
I think he's wanted to do this forever.
But I think
he had gear made when he feuded with The Rock back in the day, and then he had to never use it. So I think this is probably something where it was like, because there's talk about all the time in those creative meetings, like you just toss ideas against the wall. And someone said it, and they probably went to John. And he was like, "Yeah, I would love to do that. I don't care if it's my last run. It's just so." It's beautiful, and I am so excited for this.
I don't think, if I was guessing here, I don't think that Cena will just turn heel and then just go back to being a babyface like in a couple of months.
It'll be like a sad transition, like apologetic. I think it's one of those things because I'm assuming he'll probably take a break till Money in the Bank after anyways. So it'll be like one of those things. And then you know what I mean? So it feels like we're going to see, I'm sure the promos leading up are going to be amazing, but as we've seen at WrestleMania at the end and how things shift, like we could see like Cena even have a moment with Cody. Because I expect now that Cody will retain even more so now than I did before. But I feel like we might get like a moment there to leave us with a little bit of doubt that Cena is still a heel. And then he'll have to work on that when he comes back.
There's a part of me though, that because of this, what kind of amazing world could we live in? Let's just take a journey to hypothetical land for a moment. That Cena does win at WrestleMania. Right?
As a heel.
As a heel, right? Ends the fucking show with all that. And then he's just gone. He takes the belt just like Brock Lesnar does. He does the whole Brock Lesnar schedule. We hate him, right? The whole thing, it's just like he holds on to it for, maybe till SummerSlam or something in the October time. Cody could finally get it back. And then we're off to the races again and whatever. And I think at the very, very end, John Cena could, come back and be like, hey guys, I'm sorry. I desperately needed this for my legacy. Da, 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 da. And I think, at the end of the day, he'll get his farewell. But I think this is more interesting for all of us. Instead of getting the nostalgia parade for the next 10 months, we're getting something interesting that we can sink our teeth into. And I think that's really amazing for all of us as fans, right? Like we want this to be a cool thing. How many times have we all said, turn him heel, all that stuff. So it's great. The Joe Stopper says very quickly, after taking from the business for so long, Cena has ready to give back. I don't know if I believe that. In that sense, I'm happy for a few months of heel Cena as champion. The other thing that does cross my mind, JC, I know this is like, what, 6 weeks away from WrestleMania?
Yeah.
But there's something in my body that just screams for some reason that it's going to be stacking the deck against Cody again.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Except this time, the glass breaks, and Rock's gonna shit a brick.
Yeah, I do believe he has a residence in Vegas, so that is kind of, I expect that too.
Yeah,
but I still feel like the moment if Cena is going to break the record, it will be as a babyface, because that will be a very special moment too. And to do it as a heel isn't the same thing, but it's also like, what have I kind of said myself, like, oh, along with the Cena run, it's like, watch him fail over again, because that's how you continue to build it, and you make this run different than like Daniel Bryan's last run, which was so fucking awful the way they did it. This is just, like you said, it's so different because it's a different way we can chew on it, and it's not just going to be all nostalgia the whole way, because we're going to hate him here for a couple months. But I thought this was so brilliant. This is exactly kind of what WrestleMania needed, because WrestleMania was going to be good regardless, but there were a few jolts that happened the last 48 to 72, whatever long it's been since Chamber Hours, even through Monday, that really gave WrestleMania, took it from like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a really good show, to be like, okay, we're full speed ahead now, because just Triple H and his team have found a way to just make this compelling. And to their credit, for the second year in a row, like, we love to shit on The Rock, but he did his job, and what he did made WrestleMania even more meaningful. As insane as it is, as much as he's annoyed us the last 2 years, for the second straight year, he has made the main event of WrestleMania way more meaningful.
Something I do want to just get on my grandstand for just 90 seconds here. You talked to me about this before we hit record, but I just want everybody else to know how I feel about this. I don't give a shit about Travis Scott. I don't give a fuck about him. I understand how important he is to the pop culture. I understand that he's a big fucking deal. I understand that. But the fact that he went out there and he fucking punched Cody in the fucking face and supposedly busted his eardrum is just really bad business. You don't beat up the pony before WrestleMania. You let him get the licking in at WrestleMania. And it's not saying it's in jeopardy in any way, but I just feel like it was careless on everybody's part. And at least if he's going to punch him, hit him somewhere that isn't going to break the guy's fucking ear or his face. You know what I mean? Like, anywhere, like they used to say to me all the time, like when we were going over matches and stuff, anywhere below the body, like below your neckline, fine. No one's going to see it. You can cover it up, whatever. You can work, whatever. But your face is like, that's your equilibrium. You could probably have vertigo. There's so many things out there. It just felt like, I understand putting them in there, but the fact that he's just in the corner doing this with Sage and shit, and I'm just like, you could have erased him from anything that he did on Saturday night, and it wouldn't have made a difference, in my opinion.
I don't disagree, and I do think it's one of those things. If you're going to do a punch like that, like, learn how to throw a working punch, for Jesus Christ. But I will say this: like, I understand why they did it, because it's the visual of like this Hollywood stable. So it's obviously The Rock and Cena, the wrestlers. Then you have Travis Scott, who's a huge pop star. So I don't mind the visual of that. But if he was just, like you said, just standing in the corner doing the stage and all that shit, like, then it was fine. I didn't love the punch though either, but I truly didn't mind like the appearance of him, because he's obviously a big part of WrestleMania already. I believe he's like the Son and everything too.
Yes.
But he's also done Rock's entrance, and I would expect he's going to have a cool remix for Cena as well, which will be pretty cool. But so I don't mind him being a part of it. It just, bro, you don't need to punch Cody.
Exactly. You don't have to. Like, my thing is side of the head or back of the head, you're a fucking asshole. In the face, fine. But if you ever punch somebody in the back of the head, they could be paralyzed for the rest of their life. If you punch somebody in the side of their head, you could fuck them up like really bad in terms of not being able to do their job. So I just think that was super careless. And I know everybody's not going to give a shit, and I'm sure Cody's a fucking psychopath anyway, and he's fine.
Cody probably loved it because he's a fucking weirdo. You know how excited he was to probably get fucking whipped by the Rock's belt? It was like the MJF thing all over again. Probably made him rock hard in there. He loves that shit.
Anyway, overall, we're very excited. We're off to the races. We'll see what happens with John Cena going forward. It sounds like we won't get him till March 17th is when he's next going to be there. So that's a couple weeks from now. Yeah. I assume they're going to let this linger.
We're getting Cody on SmackDown, they said. But yeah, it doesn't seem like Cena 17th. I don't think we'll see Rock before then. So.
Did you know that as I was looking at the list, it seems like Cena's on Raw, which I feel like whatever, but it feels like
They're going to be on both shows.
Yeah.
It's going to be because look, it's SmackDown's still 3 hours. So, but it's going to be for stuff like a lot of this stuff. It's going to be on both. I mean, look at us. SmackDown Superstars is the #1 contender for the Raw title too. So we're in that world, baby. We're in WrestleMania world. But speaking of that WrestleMania, we should probably talk about the rest of Chamber because there was a lot of other good stuff. And we'll just go to the start to the other Chamber match, the women's. And this thing started with a literal bang because they were like, okay, we're getting Naomi and Liv in there. And again, this is great writing. Jade's music hits. And look at #JC knows. #JC's hopes come true. From the get-go, I said it was Naomi. So I knew this was coming, and I love this. But just like the way to do it, have her starting there with Liv. It looks like she's going after Liv. You have Liv freaking out, and then boom, beelines it. This is the best Jade has looked in WWE. She looked like a fucking badass. I believed her physicality. She looked like she did at her best points in AEW, and the reason why we fell in love with her as a superstar. This is what she needed. We needed aggression out of her, whether she's a babyface or should be the heel, whatever. I don't care. This is the side that Jade needed to be in her return to make an impact, to kind of get everything back that she kind of maybe lost a little bit with her kind of like mediocre run in WWE so far. But Bianca did a great job in the Chamber doing the shock, but this was great. It set the tone for the night in Chamber where we knew like, okay, we're getting some business tonight, Nestlemania.
I thought it was fantastic too, but there was something that crossed my mind. And I was like, just go what if on me for 1 second, right? She fucking like murdered her with the cage door, which I thought was well done. And then just, walked out and they disqualified her from being in the Chamber. Fantastic. There is a small part of me, right? We'll have Jade versus Naomi at WrestleMania, supposedly, whatever, right? And we would think, Bianca's going on to WrestleMania for God knows whatever. There is a small part of me that is going to be like, Naomi and Jade happen. And Naomi's still going to be like, bitch, it still wasn't me. And it's Belair with a wig that looks like Naomi in like a video. I think that would be pretty fucking cool.
The tough part is it because Bianca was wrestling at the time the attack happened.
No, because no. Basically what happened was Bianca was wrestling and they cut to Jade already on the car.
Oh, that's right.
So she could have done it. She could have.
So my thing is, I think the thing to look for is that Bianca and Naomi were in it together. Bianca's acting. And that was one of those things where they kind of decided, but I think it's one of those, that's something that might not get addressed till later, but it's going to be interesting to see when all three of these women start to interact. They're obviously slow playing that as well. I think we're getting Jade on SmackDown. So I think it should begin then. I wouldn't be surprised if they still had Naomi off to write her off for injury, but I think that to me is the twist, is that Bianca was in on it with her. Cause it's also one of those where Bailey was always kind of involved in this too, where they could go that route, but I kind of love keeping it here to the big three, as they called them when they were together. But yeah, no, I think this is a great thing for Bianca. I think it's a great thing for Naomi. I think it's a great thing for Jade, but I do hope they kind of let Naomi run as a heel. I think it's something we've discussed that we've always wanted to see, and let Jade just go on a babyface run here. And that kind of makes her a bigger star first before you flip her down the line. But I just thought this was great business. I love the timing of it because I listened to you and Dom last week, and I felt the same way, where it's like, I feel like they saved this for a Raw or SmackDown. So the fact that they just did it right off the bat and didn't hesitate, I was like, I love this because I did not expect it at all. That particular moment of the show, I did not expect to just be like, boom, right to business. So I love that aspect of it.
Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to the women's chamber specifically?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun moments, but nothing really too crazy. But Bianca gets the win, obviously, and now she's fighting for the Raw title, which we'll get into, I'm sure, later.
Hey. So the next, I believe, was it Trishy time?
Yeah, Trishy time. This was probably the low point of the pay-per-view, but it was whatever. It's like Tiffany's still doing her thing. They were cool together. It's Trish at home, whatever. But this didn't do much for me.
Yeah, they didn't really write too much for me either. It is what it is.
Let's move on then to potential match of the year, Nestlemania. Because that KO Sammy match, every time watching, I'm like, it can't get better. Oh my God, it just got better.
Yeah. One of those things that, like, I read some stupid report from Fightful or something that said, like, they could have used not real barbed wire, like, kayfabe barbed wire.
I don't give a shit. I hope that's what they did. I want them to be safe. I don't want my favorites to die.
Well, the thing that I was sitting there going, who gives a shit whether it's real or not? Like, what the fuck? Like, why is that even
fucking wrestling, bro? It's entertainment. I don't care if it's fucking real weapons or not. I hope they're not real weapons. I don't need it to be real. Right. I don't.
It's bizarre. But anyway, considering that match I thought that match was going to go out like in the arena and outside of different things further, but the fact that they were confined to, I don't know, like maybe a couple 100 feet, 1,000 feet, maybe. I thought they did a fantastic job of like just power bomb through a table of here, power fly over here through a table. Like the spots that they kept going after, just it kept escalating, which is one of my favorite things. Is when you build a match like this, and you're like, okay, we're starting low, we're getting high. Like it's like a roller coaster, when you go tick, 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 and then you come down. Like it felt like I was waiting for what could the fucking final thing be? And then you see it and you're like, God damn it. Like that was great. And then of course, Randall comes back, which that poor guy comes back in every return, and it seems like a bigger star just poo-poos his parade. But man, I think you said it. It's not WrestleMania season to see Randy Orton. So
yeah, wrestling's not the same period without Randy Orton. He's one of my all-time favorites. He's one of my all-time goats. I absolutely adore him. I'm excited for him and KO because I think they have great chemistry. It'll be a great match. I don't know what happens with Sammy. I don't know if you have any ideas of what they could potentially do with him, or if he gets thrown in a multi-man match somewhere or something. But KO and Orton, I'm all aboard. This is the right time to bring him back. The reason why I, in my prediction, picked Sammy is because I thought maybe it would happen during the match. They obviously did it after, but we got a beautiful RKO. We got him beating up security. It just it's exactly what it needed to be. And Randy's back, and all is right in the world.
And he brought back the punt, which
he tried to bring back the punt, and this is something I loved. I was so disappointed watching that I didn't get it, but I'm like, there's my hook, because he's going to keep trying to do. He's not going to get it, but when he connects on that punt to KO at WrestleMania, that'll be special. And it's just like, it's again, this night was all about good business, good writing, good booking, good timing, and good performances. And this is just yet another example.
I don't know if this is a fair assessment, but so far this is the most fun I've had pay-per-view bell to bell, top to bottom in a long time.
This was a beautiful pay-per-view. Maybe not the greatest pay-per-view ever in terms of wrestling, all that, but in terms of moments, and it, like I said, they changed the landscape of WrestleMania in so many ways in one night. Obviously, the main event is a seismic shift, but everything else they did, it's the Jade thing and the Randy thing, the impacts and the things that they did. It was okay, this is what the road to WrestleMania should feel like, and we don't always get that. Because you get we have the complaints of Jay and Gunther was so early, Charlotte Tiffy, but it's those are fine, I think, being booked early, because then you can do stuff like this. And it's now that we have these, we obviously had another moment on Monday, which changed the landscape. And if Triple H and his team continues to give us those week in and week out, we're going to have a lot of fun leading up to the show of shows.
So overall, out of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9.5. It was almost perfect, because it doesn't get better than that in terms of a viewer.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Super fun. I guess we can get to the regular part of the show then.
Yeah, let's go into the Shine Nestlemania, and we're going to start with the top of the show, because CM Punk's promo was his best promo since he's been back, and that's been saying something, because I've loved a lot of his promos since he's been back, but this was a vintage Punk promo. What he cut on The Rock, what he cut on Cena, what he started to do with Seth, and then it broke out into the absolute brawl between these two. We're getting them as the main event in MSG next week, most likely, and maybe we'll have a definitive winner. Maybe we won't. Maybe there'll be a Mr. Uwa that comes in and makes it a triple threat, which is the rumor, which I'd be fine with any of these options. But I thought Punk's promo, I loved it. He coming out, getting the announce table, aggression. That's a theme for me. It was a thing with Jade. It's a thing with him. With some of these baby faces that we love, you need this aggression sometimes, because that's what makes them special. And Punk is the most aggressive talker of all time. And he is so good at it. And him standing on the announce table, it just felt impactful. He did it right away, and I thought this is it set the tone for the night.
It was pretty great. I do like the meme of I don't need a makeup title, and then they showed him with this stupid AEW Cross title that he had. But besides that little joke, I think he did a great job. We've had this conversation numerous times, I think, you and I, but we always joke about the amount of pull aparts that are happening in a brawl. The longer it happens, the more fake and ridiculous it feels. This seemed like the outlier in the rule of that. It felt like the more times they kept getting back to it, the more the crowd went nuts. So and then of course there was a backstage part too, where, they had the whole, shut the fuck up and we'll talk about it and we'll, get it over with, get it out of your system. So I was just shocked that it kept going, and it felt like the Peter Griffin chicken thing. It just kept fucking going, which was great. But man, there's something about this that screams like it's MSG. It's a big deal. It's a schmaz finish here. So we'll see.
It feels like we're getting Roman because I believe he tweeted during Monday like he has receipts for people. So he definitely has a receipt for Seth. We know that. So it feels like his return is imminent. And MSG, I mean, this is probably going to be the biggest booked Raw up until Mania at this point because it's an MSG show. So they're going to pull out a lot of stops next week.
It was pretty fire. I'll say that much. It was something else. What else you got that's positive?
I will say a quick note from SmackDown. CM Punk also had the line of the week on that show. Seth's outfit was ridiculous, and CM Punk said he looked like an oven mitt, and I fucking lost it because he looked like a fucking oven mitt. So that's one of my quick notes from SmackDown because that was fantastic. But the next thing I want to go to is I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the main event because I think one of those things, and I know this is one of your biggest pet peeves in the world, is when you feel like a challenger can't win. It's like it feels like it's whatever. And Triple H took it Nestlemania and he rubbed your face in the shit and said, "Oh, you don't think my challenger can win? Guess what? Io fucking Sky is the new heavyweight champion." I was stunned. As it started to break down, I'm like, they're not DQing her. I'm like, oh my God, they might do this. And then they did. And I'm like, this is perfect. Because I think as a lot of the times with world champions now, people want all these reigns to be Lon and stuff. But like Rhea's already had Lon reigns and done that. How do we give her a little bit of edge going into WrestleMania? We know Bianca kind of has an edge because of her friends, but like Rhea and Bianca got into it. But like, how do we put a chip on Rhea's shoulder? You do that. And how do you make Io feel equal to these two? You give her the title. So it feels like we're definitely getting a triple threat. I'm excited for it. I think this, again, another thing that needed an injection. Because I feel like even though Rhea versus Bianca is the generational match, people just weren't into it. But doing it this way, I think we're into it now.
I started to get the wave of momentum when I started to see the crowd cheering for Io, because in my head I was like, wow. Like to me, like I put Rhea Ripley on like the tippy top right now of like people moving the needle, people, dragging the company.
Early in the match, the crowd was behind her and it was kind of teetering.
It was weird because I was just thinking to myself, this seems like a slam dunk. And then like, okay, when I saw the pushing and shoving, I was like, this is weird. No DQ. They let it slide. And then, of course, she turned back, looked at her, and then got the Hurricanrana, won, whatever. And I kept thinking, oh, there's your out. Like there you go. There's your triple threat. But I don't know if you saw this. It was a 4-minute promo that's on social. I don't know if you got it. Did you see it?
Yeah.
I thought that was a beautiful promo. I thought that it connected everything you needed to connect to. And I hope that they do something similar to it next week or that they play that promo somewhere else, because I think it put Rhea in a vulnerable state. It put the connection to Bianca up on a pedestal. It put a connection to Io of like, I underestimated her. And
she's also never beaten Io.
Never beaten Io. Yep. Yes. So I think there's just a lot of substance to it. And I think that's wonderful because, again, I really do enjoy people who are great wrestlers. There's nothing wrong with being a great wrestler, but being a great storyteller keeps my attention. And I think Rhea Ripley is an amazing storyteller. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't give her credit for. They just see this like, amazing one of a kind person who's jacked and can do all these cool things and has this aura about herself. But the ability to sink her teeth into something like that is very, very rare. And I just want people to remember that, is that Rhea Ripley is a rarity because she can do things that other people can't. And that is what she did on Monday was a home run.
Yeah, there's a reason why she's one of the biggest stars in the world. And I love that they gave her this chip going into Mania. So this, again, WrestleMania was like, it's a quartet of things this week that shifted WrestleMania. And I absolutely love it.
Mm-mm. Anything else that's positive you want to talk about?
I really did love Raw. I had co-meet matches of the week. Gunther and Otis was great, but I also the tag match with the War Raiders and the Creed brothers. As it was starting, I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's a lot of size here. I'm like, if they let these boys go, this is going to be a banner. And it delivered. I absolutely loved all of this, but I was one of those, I'm like, I have to have co-meet matches of the week. But I thought I thought this was a very fun Raw, and the matches were good too.
I laughed really hard at the just watching the Viking Raiders and the Creeds go at it, because once I saw the Shooting Star Press, I went, okay, like that's all anybody's going to remember. But there was some good tag match stuff going on here. And the longer it went, I was like, well, Ivy didn't win. I don't think they're going to give it to these guys just yet because it feels like the Vikings are still relatively new when it comes to tag titles. But I could see them pulling the trigger. But it was such a great win for the Viking Raiders. But people are going to come out of that thinking, more about the creeds, which I guess in theory is good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just is what it is. Yes, we have multiple meat matches of the week there, Joe Stopper. Multiple meats.
I don't know if I've ever done that before, but I'm like, this is the week to do it because both those matches deserved it.
We have the meats.
Yes.
Arby's.
Not something sponsored. Else that got me hot and spicy was my boy Ludwig got a promo Nestlemania, and he is so fucking good. When he called himself a future world champion, I got so excited because I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I think he could be with the right thing, especially when you have split titles, because he really is so fucking good. We've always known about it in the ring. We always knew his character and like him as a sidekick and him as a tag wrestler, but they have really gone in with this singles run, and I think he continues to flourish. And like him and Penta, I think have amazing chemistry. So I love that we're going down this again. But it just like, I love that Ludwig's getting time on this Netflix thing too. It's a bigger spotlight. These big shows, they're still finding time for him because he fucking deserves it, because he is a rising tide right now in WWE.
I just love the one line he had where he said, Penta, you took something from me. And I'm like, what the fuck did he take? And he went, the attention, because it should be on me. And I was like, what a line. Yep. What a line, because it fits the character. It fits the bravado. And then I was just like, then out comes Penta in his fucking street gear. It worked. Everything about it worked.
Saddle! Metal!
Yeah. And I just was sitting there thinking to myself, what are, like, they're complete polar opposites. And the one thing that really, like, the only like 1% of me that got really sad was, so they do the whole fucking kaboom. He goes outside, he does a zero metal or whatever. And I thought to myself, Ray Phoenix is coming in. I wanted to live in a world where we got the Lucha Bros versus Kaiser and Vinci. Like that made me hurt a little bit inside.
That would have been a fucking banger.
That would have been great, shit. Right? Like that would have been one of those things where you got the WWE style versus Lucha style. I just would have loved that, but I don't think it's going to happen. Joe's trying to push the envelope here, saying that we're going to have Ludwig versus Logan for Tiffy on the line.
I love that match, but there's no one for anyone to cheer in that match. I mean, I would cheer for Ludwig, but yeah,
that's about it. That's about it. Anything else you want to talk about?
I did enjoy. I know you mentioned it. I did mostly enjoy Lyra and Niall. It was, again, they gave them time. I had no issues with it. But I want to go to SmackDown quickly because if you haven't seen Jacob Fatu and Andrade, it was a great match. That was as expected. It was fucking fantastic. The Jacob Fatu showcase is continuing. That was a banger. It obviously was a stupid thing to set up a triple threat. But I do want to also say the other thing, because I'm glad last week to hear you jump on the Mellow Don't Miz train with me. In his match to qualify for the triple threat main event against Braun, he did the Eddie, the chair spot. And the nice touch was before the match backstage, Miz kind of gave him a pointer, be like, try this. So it just like, I love this pairing even more because you have the Miz, just like I heard you said it last week, like teaching Mello how to be more than just like that good wrestler. Like, what is going to set you apart on the main roster? It's stuff like this. And it was so much character to win that way. And it was fucking great because he did it perfectly. And those were two things that stood out. Though, whatever. My biggest heat of the week is what ended up happening in that triple threat. But I just wanted to point out those two matches in particular on SmackDown because it is a 3-hour show. It is a bit of a slog. It comes on a Friday. It's tough, but there is a few good things mixed in there.
So I guess the natural progression here would just be go into the heat then, because I'll let everything else go. But get him off my TV, get him off my TV, get him off my TV. I'll let you lay out because you just said it. So go ahead.
Your boy, L.A. Knight. Yeah. He's the number one contender again, Nestlemania. And again, we have him and Nakamura. Nakamura was the worst Royal Rumble winner of all time, in my opinion. And he is now the worst United States champion of all time, in my opinion. I'd have to fact check that because I'm sure there's also been other terrible reigns, but I don't even know if you can call this fucking pathetic joke thing a reign. And now it's again feuding with the same guy. And I'm at the point where it's like, Nakamura needs to fucking lose this thing. But it's like, he's facing LA Knight again. Does that mean I want LA Knight just to win it again? I don't, but I guess. But it's just like, come on. Can we get something new with the U.S. title picture? And it's just like, LA Knight's qualifying match was against Santos. Like, yes, they have great chemistry, but those guys have wrestled 50 times the last fucking year. It's just like, you're killing me where it's like, you have these exciting things. Like, yes, I understand saving Jacob and all that, whatever. And like even with Melo, you kind of want to progress to it, but it's just like, can I just get anything else? Maybe you have Santos fucking beat Nakamura for it. I don't fucking know. I need new blood in this division, but it's just these two are just like, they're both incredibly stale. It's not good television. So yeah, it's my biggest heat of the week. It's that US Championship.
I mean, well, here you go. Joe said Ambrose's U.S. champion was utterly pointless.
He didn't do much with it, but at least like it was exciting at the time because they were a new like hit thing as like the Shield. So it was like it kind of worked where they all had titles. Like wasn't a good run, but like at least like it fit. Nakamura is none of these things. Nothing about it is good.
Is Nakamura the worst everything in WWE? Like worst Royal Rumble winner, you've said. Worst Mania main event, technically not the main event.
Yeah.
Worst every time he's had a championship. Probably
I didn't
the worst.
hate him. I didn't hate him versus Styles. So I wouldn't put that there, but I do think he's the worst Royal Rumble winner ever. I understand people making the case for Del Rio, but Del Rio's a multi-time world champion for a reason. It's definitely Nakamura. But yeah, this U.S. reign is just it's.
But he's in an Intercontinental champion nobody cared about. He's been a double-time U.S. champion. I think he was he a tag champ? I can't even remember.
I will say his time with Sammy was good. That's when the entrance was at his peak, and you had Sammy doing it with him, so that was okay. I believe that was the IC title, and his NXT run was mostly superb. So I have no issues with that. And I do like Nakamura, despite what I sound, but it's just like. I just feel like it's one of those things they do it and then it's just they don't go all in with it. It was like, remember, like with the Cody feud, it's like there were parts like the promos were cool, but like they just never go all in. And it's not believable. And I don't know if he would have maybe got to like feud with someone else, I could be interested, but just going right back to Knight is just such the wrong choice.
Yeah, I just think that's the one real glaring thing on SmackDown is that division specifically.
It's a shame too because you would think a division like that, the mid card should shine in 3 hours.
Yeah, you would hope. They just got the wrong people. They got the wrong people. Anything else that you've got? I don't really have a lot of heat, so I
don't have any other heat. That was my only heat of the week.
He said
I thought Raw was superb. So
I think Raw. There really wasn't a lot of things on Raw you could really say was very bad at all. So I just
should we go to the Hope then?
Just go to the Hope. Let's go.
It's a great week in wrestling. Let's go to the Hope.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yes, because I may have to take a leak.
Okay. Do you need to go take a leak right now? Okay. All right. Well, since he's going to be nursing himself up to get rest, get to the rest of this entire program, I'm going to give you my hope very quickly. As I was sitting there, I have actually 2 hopes, but I'm trying to figure out which one I want to do. I think I'm going to do one that will actually make me look intelligent here. If you're watching on Monday Night Raw, there was a backstage segment where somebody was walking through, and in the background, you saw Dominic Mysterio talking to somebody. Now, if you're watching Monday Night Raw and you keep hearing week in and week out that Dominic Mysterio is saying to Judgment Day, hey guys, we need a new member. And Finn gets very upset saying, no, we do not need a new member. We do not need new members. I think what's going to happen, if you watched on Monday in the back, Dominic Mysterio was talking to one Karrion Kross. That's right, folks, Karrion Kross. My hope is that Karrion Kross becomes the new member of the Judgment Day, kicks out Finn Balor, and becomes the ipso facto leader of the Judgment Day. I'm just saying right here. I think it would be great. I think it would be wonderful since AOP and Paul Ellering and all those people are gone, having Kross be part of something like the Judgment Day that gets TV time would be super, super amazing. I think going forward for everybody involved, getting Finn to go against Karrion Kross would be interesting as well. So for me, my comeback feels like this is something that could actually happen. Having Kross be the leader of the Judgment Day and making Finn Balor back to a babyface that we all love anyway, because those abs are they're there forever. Let's pop them out, boys and girls. You know what I mean? So there's my hope. Karrion Kross, new member of the Judgment Day and the leader. And then maybe here's an additional hope. If Scarlett's there, maybe there's an infighting between Scarlett and Liv or Raquel and Liv and Scarlett. We'll see. It'll be interesting. It's just dynamics. We need dynamics. And Judgment Day might be the longest reigning faction of all time based on the amount of people they've switched in and out. So there you go.
You prepped me on this hope before the show, so even though I missed most of it, I got the gist, and I don't disagree with the idea of it because I do think obviously Karrion Kross lost his stable due to releases. He kind of fits in with what they would do and make them more darker. But yeah, it would be an interesting fit. But yeah, no, it definitely feels like something is happening, and he seems like he could be the guy.
One other thing.
Yes.
AJ Styles and Karrion Kross and the hair in the promo, like
that. Honestly, I saw you mention it, but like when I watched it, I immediately thought of you because I'm like, there is so much hair going on, and Nestle was probably rock hard.
I'm sitting there going, I wish my hair looked like that. Like I'll tell you this much. The biggest compliment I've ever gotten in a wrestling show in my entire life. I do 4 hours of commentary. I come down to shake everybody's hand at the end of the night. And there's this woman who we had come in and debut. Her name's Gabby Forza. Make sure you know that name. She's going to get picked up in the next 3 years. I guarantee it. She is awesome. She looked at me and she goes, "You have an immaculate hairdo." And she's like, "Your hair is so well done and you look fantastic." And I was just like, "Thank you so much. I know you're not lying because you just met me. I'm not paying you. I mean, that's the other guy with the envelope, but she liked my hair." So I'm just letting you know, people dig the Nestle hair. That's all I got to say. It's real.
Well, one person digs it, and I'm glad. I'm happy for you, Adam. But
that was a big deal. That was a big deal for me when someone that's not related or married to me gave me a compliment.
I hope someone paid her off and didn't tell you, because that would be even funnier. Should I do my hope?
Why do you do these things? What, you know how neurotic I am. Now I'm thinking that what she did wasn't real. Hence
why I did it, because it's fun. Hey, even though I don't feel great, I still got enough energy to fuck with you a little bit, you know?
Well, guess what, pal? That hurts. All right. I needed that, and you took it away from me. All right. It's bad enough. It's bad enough we got Joe and the backcracker in here giving me shit all the fucking time, especially the backcracker with his fucking stupid face. But you know,
hey, we're a much cooler Triple J than the real one. So there you go.
All right.
But yeah, my hope Nestlemania is talking about someone needing something. Well, we know Chad Gable's been on a little adventure. Went down to Mexico or wherever because he's trying to figure out how to beat luchadors. And we got a vignette this week, and I was like, oh, okay, because it's one of those like. They kind of like hadn't really like mentioned it or done anything with it yet. So it's like, are they going to scrap it? Are they going with it? Nope, they're going with it. And he receives a box from a mysterious person. And I'm like, obviously it's a mask. And that excites me because watching Gable like become a luchador, I love the Shorty G thing. I'm one of the few people in the world that enjoyed it just because I really do love Chad Gable. And I think no matter what you give him, he makes the most out of it. And I think now he's gotten to the point where he's established himself a little better than the Shorty G thing where you can lean in more to some of his goofy stuff too. So but I think it's also knowing the way the Triple H era is, I think this will have some seriousness with it too, because I mean, you've seen the amount of luchadors that Triple H has brought into this company. Like he loves it. He loves lucha. I think TKO is big on it because that's something that they push with UFC, is especially the Mexican market and stuff. So I think having a strong lucha presence has always been a goal. Vince was big on it too. I think it just makes sense because it's a huge wrestling market, huge fighting market, huge market for combat sports and all this stuff in general.
The masks sell like cakes, baby.
Exactly, and that's the other big thing. So, I mean, my hope is that pretty much that like it really is a mask, and we get Gable as acting like a luchador and stuff. But I just think that this is fun and interesting, and it's yet another thing that he can kind of like chew into.
I don't know how you make it serious, though.
That's the thing is, I think it's one of those. It's gonna be inherently goofy, but I think he's done enough now where like he's still fine because he's just so good.
I'm just wondering what will it be? Like it just I'm very intrigued by it because I thought it was a really well done segment.
It looked good, yeah.
And well, I think it looked very, very cinematic, which I thought was a nice little touch, which was kind of a theme throughout the entire night. I thought even like as much as I give shit about the LWO, I thought that promo was actually pretty well produced as well. Yeah. I mean, not necessarily the content, but I felt the fire. Anytime I can see 2 or 3 different shots was great. Like, I just think it looks cool. It's the Mr. America mask. Knock it off, Joe.
Honestly, you might not be wrong.
God damn it, Joe.
The fact that he went to Mexico to get it, though, it has to be a lucha mask. It can't just be some like,
there's got to be some translation to like Gable or something. Just in Mexican, like, or Spanish, excuse me. Like, there's got to be something. Like,
I have faith. If this was Vince, I'd have no faith. But with Triple H and his team and with the home runs they continue to hit, like, because I think people were starting to turn on Triple H a little bit recently, but after this weekend, I think he got a lot of his gravitas back as a booker.
All right. Should we go to the comeback?
Yes, don't call it a comeback, Nestlemania. And mine's not going to a person this week.
Oh, boy.
It's not going to a place. It's going to a thing because Nestlemania, let's fucking go. I've started watching it. They've been sitting on my DVR. Haven't really had time, but I've had a lot more time recently when my mind's clear and I need to do things so I don't fucking lose my fucking mind. So I started watching WWE LFG, and this show is fun. It's kind of like those old OG shows I always love, like the Tough Enoughs. It has like that kind of feel, like where you get people competing for stuff. But I do think they got a fun mix of coaches with Bubba and with Undertaker and Booker and Mickey, and then obviously HBK is around, and they bring people in. Your girl Michelle McCool was on the most recent one, giving her husband's finisher to somebody on Mickey's team. But I just want to shout out the show because if you haven't watched it and you're looking for something extra, a little whatever, it's a fun show. It's very similar to a lot of the other type WWE like competition shows they've had in the past. Similar elements, but different. But it's just like they play up the personalities. It's just good TV just to like kind of pass the time, have some laughs. And it's also getting a look at someone maybe like future stars, like Holifield's son's on this thing. It's funny because there's people who have been there like a year or two, people have been there a few months, and there's literally like 2 or 3 people that have been there a week. So it's like they have no training. So it's just kind of cool to see. There was actually there was a girl, I can't think of her name, but I really liked her look already, but she had been there a week and had no training. She had her first ever match. And I'm watching this. I'm like, this girl might be someone to keep an eye on because she's never had a match before. And I didn't think it was the worst thing I've ever seen. So yeah, it's an exciting show. And if you're looking for something to watch, check it out. And it gets my comeback this week.
It's on A&E, right?
It is on A&E. So I DVR it and then I can fast forward.
I don't think I have it on YouTube TV. That's a shame.
Yeah. You might be able to get it on some sort of streaming.
I don't really want to go out and find it if I don't have to. I'm pretty lazy. I am. My comeback goes to one Otis. When I watched Otis face Gunther this week, and he had no business having like a 2-3 segger. Didn't even cross my mind. I was ready to time him for a jobber alert. And then when I saw him, when he ripped off his shirt and started gyrating, the crowd went for it. I was just like, holy fucking shit. Like, we can say what we want about American Alpha or the American Babes or whatever they call it, Alpha Babes. Or they call themselves Alpha Babes, I think, too, on the T-shirt.
Okay.
And the whole thing was ridiculous. But I just kept thinking to myself, like, what I love is that they're kind of keeping Jay and Gunther just a little bit separate here. And, like, the fact that he went after the comedy routine and, like, the mascots that aren't Jay, and Jay had to help defend it. Like, at least there's some connective tissue there. But Otis really deserves his flowers because every time he's put in a situation that you don't think he's going to rise to the occasion, he does. And he does it so well. And it's just like, I know he does the fucking haha really well. And funny can make money. We've already talked about that. He can make plenty of money. Look at Santino Marella. But there's a part of me that really wants to see what a serious Otis could look like. I don't know if we'll ever get it. But it's fun. Like, it's goddamn fun. And I think just watching the whole progression of it was really well done with like Tozawa trying to get involved and they also got kicked, in the head and whatever. And then Jay comes out, tries to save the day, does kind of, and then gets a sleeper hold on it. Then Jay cuts a fire promo afterwards. So I felt like just the way it was stacked was really well done overall. And Otis deserves a lot of credit. I mean, obviously Jay and Gunther do too, but I'm just happy for Otis that he got a really cool moment.
Yeah, this was cool. Co-meet match of the week for a reason. It was the meet match of the week until the tag match happened, then I just gave it the co's. But yeah, no, look, Otis has this connection with the crowd that you can't teach. It's just there. It's happened organically. No matter what the situation or how little he's around, he just dials into it, and he is good. And I guarantee you, if Gunther this is probably a match he was so excited for because Otis really is the polar opposite of him, but he's also a big boy. And when they were doing the slap off, I talk about Cody getting hard when he gets whipped by a belt. When Gunther gets slapped by another big man, I guarantee you he's hard as a rock. So it's just like, and plus you have America versus the Austria and all this and whatever, and the foreigner. So this had all the dynamics. I think this was something, and like you said, I think they're finding ways to keep Gunther and Jay busy that isn't just constantly with each other. And the fact that we get to see Gunther wrestle a little bit here, which is his strength, I think is great. So this was a fantastic segment. And you're right, Otis shined.
Should we get to the big old finish?
Big old finish on SmackDown this week. Cody speaks and Jade returns, as we mentioned. I don't know any match or anything that is booked, but on Raw Nestlemania, we are at MSG and we have a stacked card. You have the steel cage match, gross, between Punk and Rollins, which, you know what? I'm excited for the match, not the match type, but that's the banner. We have Styles calling out Logan Paul, so we expect that will be the WrestleMania match, but we shall see. We have Jey Uso versus Grayson Waller. That sounds like a banner to me because Grayson is a stud. And then Nestlemania. I love that this match is a tornado tag because we've kind of seen New Day. I believe they might have already faced Ray and Dragon Lee, but making it a tornado tag, I think, brings in a lot of elements where we're probably going to see a lot of super athletic stuff. So I am excited for this match, and New Day getting heat in the garden is going to be great.
I'm excited to see. It seems like they've done a really good job the last week or two where it feels like other people are main eventing. Things are important. They get highlighted. They get time on Raw.
Raw is a
And then
great show right
and
now.
it feels
I
like
love
it's,
the Netflix
it's a good stuff. I mean, on NXT's cooking on Settlers. I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
I feel like once we get past WrestleMania, I'm hoping that SmackDown rights the ship here because it is a tough watch. It is
Yeah,
it
I
feels
think part
like
of
a nothing show.
I also feel like part of the thing with SmackDown, especially with us too, is it's a lot of wrestling at the end of the week going into the weekend. I work most Friday nights, and you obviously can't get to it on Fridays too. So I think that's also factors into it for us. So that's why one thing I've done when I've watched, I've really tried to focus on the things that are good. But as we've seen, we saw when Raw was 3 hours too. There's just a lot of like bullshit fluff, and like the tag stuff wasn't that good this week, so that kind of weakened. And I think if they do go back to 2 hours, it'll probably be a little better. But to me, it's like you have a show that has so much bloodline stuff, and when the bloodline doesn't have Roman Reigns, that's always a factor as well.
Sure. And the other thing too that really makes me nervous is like the WrestleMania card shaping up. We're gonna get some multi-person matches. Like that's fine, but like multi-tags, multi-intercontinental, or the women's intercontinental, the women's United States. Like there's a lot. I know something's gonna get left off, but it just feels like
I think everything will be booked with the 2 nights. But yeah, no, it definitely feels like both tag titles could be multi of some kind. But yeah, it does. I would be shocked if they left off any titles.
Okay. I'm just nervous about those women's titles. I'll be honest.
You can't introduce them and then not put them on WrestleMania.
Yes, you can, and watch what happens.
But that's what I mean. That'd be a massive disservice. I think the reason why you put the tags on Liv and Raquel is because that gives an opportunity for that to have a match as well. Think about it, 2 nights is a lot, and not every match is going to be long. So there's going to be some shorter ones. So
okay, all right, is what it is. So we went through Raw and SmackDown. Unfortunately, JC, it's the part of the day that we do not like talking about, but here we are, folks. Here we fucking are.
Is this on Saturday or Sunday?
Let's see. It's the 9th. What would that be?
That is a Sunday. So this is Sunday night, which is probably smart because no more football. Sunday nights, there's not a lot on in terms of sports.
Are you not entertained by this idea? Do you want to talk about anything that's happening on everybody's favorite Wednesday night show, or is that's not important?
I still watch it every week, but I feel like it's so much crap. And I feel like the good stuff will come up here naturally because we do have 9 matches booked. We're not talking about the pre-show with the fucking boom idiot who eats chocolate chunk cookies, which, funny note, we were talking about this before the show too. While the Cena turn was happening, the thing on Collision was this big boom fucking moron cutting a promo. So you talk about the best part of wrestling and the worst part of wrestling. But yeah, 8 other matches so far, and I wouldn't be surprised it's AEW that will get more before Sunday. But Nestlemania, should we run through the 8 that we have?
Yes, because I can't find anything when it comes to Dynamite. So let's do it.
All right. So we have a steel cage match between Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. These two have fought a few times. Obviously, this has been set up over and over again. This time they're getting the steel cage treatment. Look at Dom said it perfectly last week. I'm never not going to be excited for an Ospreay match, but this feud doesn't seem to have the juice it had when it first started.
So who are you picking? I'm going to pick Ospreay for sure.
Yeah, I got to pick Ospreay because it feels like this has got to be the end of it, right?
If it's not the end of the world, we'll get to new depths, right? Is that what they said?
True. That's true.
All right.
Next up, probably my favorite match on the card because I think this feud does have juice. I know a lot of people have had criticisms for MJF, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I think him and Hangman has been one of the most compelling things besides Swerve and Ricochet on AEW right now. So I'm excited for this match. I feel like these two are kind of like the two faces of AEW that weren't like the established ones when they came in. It was like the two, these are the people we're building on, and you can always bring them back together whenever you need something. And I think their characters are meshing well right now. I'm curious to think who you think's going to win because I feel like this could be the beginning, not necessarily the end. So I don't know if that's a factor or if you think that this maybe just be a runaway train.
Well, I really like what they're doing. It's the only thing that I really enjoy, with the exception of Tony Storm stuff. But they're I can see either way, being the reality. I mean, I can see MJF going and doing whatever, but it's like if Moxley's going to retain, that doesn't seem like it's a slam dunk for me. Like I can feel like Jeff Jarrett gets involved here or somebody else gets involved that he's pissed off or something because he's MJF. He's betting on himself, but nobody likes him. I feel like Hangman is kind of like the savior of AEW in a lot of ways. And if Mox is going to continue, that I can see Hangman challenging for it and trying to save the day. So my gut's going to say Hangman. I'm going to pick Hangman. I don't feel great about it, though.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm leaning Hangman, but it's not a confident pick at all.
Okay.
But this is one of the matches I would be excited for. And our next up is actually the match I am most excited for. Is actually a number one contenders match for the AEW World Championship now. It is between Swerve and Ricochet. Their feud has been superb. The Ricochet turn is one of the best things AEW has done, I think, in the last year or so. So I think these two will have great chemistry. This is interesting because the winner does become the number one contender. It feels like if you're ever going to give Ricochet a run at the top, not necessarily to win, but like in a major, like this will probably be a TV match anyways. It feels like this is the time, but it also feels like I feel like Swerve kind of needs this. I'm going to pick Ricochet, but it's, again, not a confident pick.
So you're picking Ricochet. The only thing I'm thinking of is there was a moment last week, I believe, where Prince Nana said, you got to get that jacket back. And if you don't win this match, I don't know if I can keep doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Which is a great little, because when you lose, there's more to do in terms of story. There's more, so you kind of want to see him lose. I don't feel confident about this pick. I'm going to pick Swerve because I feel like Swerve versus Moxley fits into the violence, but that's just,
you're all in on Moxley retaining. Interesting.
I just
we'll
don't
get there. We get there, but
well, okay. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Next up, we have, and this is one of those things where Mercedes gets to book whatever she wants. Singles match for the AEW TBS Championship. Mercedes Moné defends against Momo Watanabe. Give me Mercedes. I don't have much to say here.
I mean, yeah,
I'm sure it'll be a good wrestling match. I have not very little knowledge about Momo, and there's not much juice for me here, but I'll watch it because it's Mercedes and she's a star.
Here's my thing. We know those matches are going to be great. There's no doubt in my mind. But when she keeps, this is going to offend a lot of people. When she keeps wrestling people we're not aware of on a general population basis, like a casual fan has no fucking idea who Momo is. They haven't done a great job of explaining. I mean, yes, she won a tournament. We understand that. But there's no reason to get behind her. You don't care.
I will say this though about Mercedes, she did just have the feud with Harley Cameron, so
right.
At least we're coming off of that. But
I want Harley to get another shot at it. That's the thing.
I think maybe she's the long-term plan, so you just do more of these in between. But as we've seen with Moxley, he could kind of pick and choose what he wanted to do. Mercedes is definitely in the same boat with Tony, which again, that's fine. That's the way AEW does it, and there's a lot of people their core audience will love this, but. Luckily, there's a lot of other good stuff on the card because this one I don't think is going to bring any new viewership.
Okay.
Next up, tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Hurt Syndicate, Bobby and Shelty with MVP defend against the Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum. Who you got?
He didn't add this one in here. Why didn't he add this one? Hold on. 1, 2,
this
3.
one got added, I think, on Wednesday, so maybe he hadn't.
Why am I looking at? So on mine, I see 8. So what does he have on here that's not on here? I'm sorry.
Well, we'll get to it and we'll find out.
Okay, then I must be looking at something weird. It's my fault. I mean, obviously the Hurt Syndicate's going to win. If the Outrunners win, I swear to God, I am going to be so fucking pumped. You have no idea. There's no chance in hell that they fucking win. But if they do, I am going to come back on this program next week. I'm going to mohawk my hair. I'm going to get a spray tan, and I'm going to be shirtless the whole fucking time.
Well, the Hurt Boys just got it, so I'm with you. I think they'll retain. This feels like a way to set up Hurt Boys and FTR because the Outrunners are their boys, and them getting hurt would probably set up an FTR save. So that's my prediction as well.
Okay.
Next up, Falls Count Anywhere match for the AEW Women's World Championship, the trilogy between Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May. I feel like they're not flipping this back, so I think this is a pretty easy Tony, but I am excited for this match because I think they're going to leave it all on the line because this feels like the finale.
Yes, I think this has to be the finale here. Tony wins. I don't think we care enough about where Mariah is going to go. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they're moving on because Toni Storm is literally the glue that holds AEW together in a lot of ways, in my opinion. And so you don't want to kill the golden goose at this point.
I agree. Next up, singles match for the AEW International Championship. That, by the way, I do want to note Dom's rant last week about how he didn't know what AEW titles or which was perfect, because the week before or 2 weeks before I had the same rant being like, they're all the fucking same with the Continental, the International. They all sound the same. But this is for the International one, the one that Konosuke Takeshita has, and he will be defending it with Don Callis against Kenny Omega. This is a boner match for the AEW audience. I think this will probably be a great match. It'll probably be a match of the year candidate. Kenny, I don't think has had this title. Do we think he gets it on Sunday?
I feel like it's Kenny Omega's time, so I'm going to pick Omega.
I'm with you. This feels like the natural progression here. So,
can I say, though, I say, last Wednesday, Takeshita versus Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, it was a good match.
That was a match that, as much as we don't, say nice things about AEW, I thought that was incredible. I mean,
there are very few Orange Cassidy matches I've never not liked. So.
Takeshita too was like, oh, there's just some guy, and like he has some of these great matches and shit. No, I think the two of them deserve to have a multi-match feud thing going on. I will watch that every day of the week. Every day of the week. There's something about Takeshita that just shouldn't work and does. I don't know what it is. It just fits, and it's fascinating to me.
I've loved the heel turn with him because it's given me a little more to chew on than just that he's good in the ring. Because I know he's good in the ring. He's amazing. But having a little more to chew on, he's the perfect Don Callis guy. So Nestlemania, I'm sure there's going to be an Okada match, which isn't booked at this point. Maybe that's one that you see there. But, well, the only one we have left here on the official listing that they haven't added yet is a singles match for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley defends against the Cope Dope. And it sounds like you are rolling on Moxley.
I'm going to pick Moxley, yes.
I'm going to pick Cope. I do think that Cope's going to beat him for it at some point. Maybe it's not here because we're kind of relating for this reveal with Moxley, this whole bullshit thing. But I feel like they just never had a plan. So I feel like Cope wins and we get Christian cashing in, and this pay-per-view ends with JC a very happy man. So then maybe it's more likely that Swerve wins like you predicted. But I'm also hopeful that this Moxley reign will end. But it just feels like when it does, it's going to be Cope. So I'm going to pick it until it happens.
Okay, that's fine. Just to let you know that it's not on the official score, but TJ put it in here. It's Danny Garcia versus Adam Cole.
So they will probably add that. It makes sense because I think their factions or something were feuding.
Yeah.
But give me we can pick it because I'm sure it'll be one of 5 matches added on Wednesday. Give me Garcia to retain. I feel like he just got it, right?
Yeah, I just feel like he hasn't done enough with it.
Yeah, not his fault though. I feel like he's on Collision a lot, and neither of us watch that, so he might be doing good stuff, and we just wouldn't know. We only read Joe's recaps for Collision.
That's true.
We should check out on jobberknocker.com.
That's what a plug that was. I'm gonna also pick Garcia. I do not feel good about this at all, but because it's all about the boom, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So we expect that to be added for a 9th match. A 10th match will probably be some sort of Okada match. Maybe not much beyond that besides pre-show stuff, but we shall see.
Well, I hope you watch Revolution. I know I probably won't, so it's fine.
If I have nothing to do Sunday night, maybe I'll legally stream it, but I doubt it.
I got no time for that.
Yeah.
Anything else? Want to get the fuck out of here?
Let's get out of here, bro.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
I am too. I'm so glad to pull the curtain back a little bit. I texted Nestle at about 6:30 that there was a chance that I wouldn't be able to do this because I have not had a very good day, but I was confident I'd be able to rally because I've been looking forward to this since Saturday. This is one of the shows I've been excited to do for a long time, the most. So I'm glad I was able to do it, and I hit one of my good stretches because I've been very up and down. I'm glad I got an up here for you guys here on the Knocker.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you, JC, for being a tough boy. And we'll be back next week with some more Jobber Knockery.
Yeah.